Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Star Wars Legends Lounge, the show that celebrates the books from Star Wars Legends. I'm Aaron Moats. Summer is nearly upon us here in the Northern Hemisphere. The weather is warm. We're closing in on the longest day of the year. Most of the schools have let out for summer vacation, and the area of the U.S. where I live. And by the time you're hearing this episode, listener, I will be on a vacation with my family in Orlando, Florida. My brother and his family scheduled a vacation to Disney World last year, and much to my surprise, my niece and nephew asked me if I would go with them. Of course, I couldn't say no. So, by the time you're hearing this episode, listener, I may be walking around Galaxy's Edge and getting ready to build my own lightsaber. Fingers crossed. But enough about my vacation. Let's get to today's book, Star Wars Galaxies, The Ruins of Dantooine, by Veronica Whitney Robinson with Hayden Blackman. It's a story set just after the events of Episode 4, A New Hope, and features an Imperial biologist who can no longer turn a blind eye to the terror and oppression of the Empire, and defects to the rebellion. The book ties into the events and settings of the popular Star Wars Galaxies online role-playing game from the early 2000s, and includes many of the planets and characters from that game. I'll talk more about the book in a few minutes, but first, it's listener question time. I have 2 emails today. The first comes from Carter, who says, "Hello, Aaron. I love your podcast. I have 2 questions for you. My first question is, would you have a curved lightsaber hilt or a regular lightsaber hilt? My second question is, if you were to have a vacation home on any planet, what planet would it be? Thanks for everything, and keep up the great work." Well, thank you very much for the email, Carter, and thank you for the kind words. I think I'd want to try a few different lightsaber hilts out first before deciding on one. Now, if we're just talking aesthetics, I think straight lightsaber hilts look better, but I think comfort and ease of use are more important than what looks best. If it's easier to use a curved hilt, and if it's more comfortable to hold a curved hilt, that's what I would choose. But still, I think a straight hilt looks better. Now, if I could vacation anywhere in the galaxy or have a vacation home, it would definitely be on Naboo. I think Naboo is the most beautiful planet we've ever seen in the Star Wars universe. I know a lot of people would pick Scarif or Niamos, if you take away the Imperials, of course. But I'm not really a beach person. I love the look of the Naboo countryside with the rolling hills, the lakes, and the picturesque architecture of Naboo's cities. That's right up my alley, actually. And it doesn't hurt that many of the Naboo scenes were filmed in the beautiful areas of southern Italy. Today's second email comes from Robin. Robin says, "Why did the Sith Lords go through the trouble of learning from a living Sith Master in the first place? A lot of them are fallen Jedi who had enough from working under the strict lessons of the Jedi Order and their teachings. So there is not really anything new to learn that cannot be learned by their own experiences. Darth Bane himself learned a lot of Sith teachings from the holocron of Darth Revan. So why not take as many of these holocrons as possible and learn to be a Sith Lord by yourself? In the galactic history, it never made a difference if a Sith Lord was raised from a child or turned as an adult. And we know a Sith Lord never shares their full knowledge with the next generation, something a dead Sith Lord would not care about." Well, thank you very much for the email, Robin. It's an interesting thought. First off, though, we don't really know how many Sith holocrons exist. We do know, at least in Legends, Sith holocrons are very difficult to make. Maybe there just aren't that many out there available for wannabe Sith Lords to learn from. But I think a more important reason is because the distrust and subterfuge a master and apprentice learn from each other is almost as important as the Force teachings. You need that personal interaction to learn how to scheme against people, to trick them, to develop short-term plans and long-term cons. I don't think it's really possible to learn how to hide a person's intentions from others by reading about it or by asking about it from a holocron. The cat and mouse games the Sith play against each other teach them some of the most important skills they need in order to achieve their goals. Thanks again for the emails, Robin and Carter. Now, listener, if you have a question for the show, you can email me at swlegendslounge@gmail.com, or you can follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram at swlegendslounge. And if you'd like to get your voice on the show, just record a short message and email it in. But please record it in MP3 audio format. Now, coming up at the end of the show, I've got a new Star Wars character grouping to share. You want to stay tuned for that. But now it's time for today's book, Star Wars Galaxies, The Ruins of Dantooine, by Veronica Whitney Robinson, with Hayden Blackman. Grab yourself a drink. Let's head in to the Star Wars Legends Lounge. The story begins on Naboo. Imperial bioengineer Dusk Mistflyer and her colleague Tendau Nandon are at the opening of a new casino. Their assignment? To collect genetic materials and record trained animal behavior at a tournament being held at the grand opening of the casino. Dusk and Tendau are disgusted with the tournament, watching trainers pit the exotic animals against each other in a killing ring, all for the amusement of the gamblers on hand waiting for the casino to open its doors. Now, following the tournament and after they collect their samples, Dusk and Tendau head into the casino to try to relax and forget about the fights. Dusk is uncomfortable with the gambling, the alcohol, and the crowded casino floor, but Tendau convinces her to try to have a little fun before they get back to work in the morning. Dusk heads over to one of the spinner pits, and, much to her surprise, she wins a fair number of credits. As she scoops up her credits, Dusk notices a man with deep, dark eyes watching her. She feels herself flush. The man is very attractive. He introduces himself as Finn Darktrin, and the two make a bit of small talk and head outside to get some air. Then, Finn asks Dusk about her work with the Empire and if she finds anything about her job upsetting. Finn says he's a rebel spy, and the rebellion can use someone like her. Confused, Dusk starts to turn away when Finn grabs her and kisses her deeply. The kiss stuns Dusk, but just then a squad of stormtroopers walk past the entrance to the casino where she and Finn are standing. Once the troopers pass, Finn releases Dusk, and she heads back into the casino, completely unsettled with the encounter. The next morning, Dusk and Tendau travel to Naboo's moon, Rory, to gather biological tissues from one of the moon's large predators, Borgle bats. As they trek through the wilderness, Dusk tells Tendau about the encounter with Finn the night before. She asks Tendau if he has any reservations about the work they do. The Ithorian admits that it's getting more difficult to work for the Empire. He says he's sometimes disgusted by the choices they have to make. When Dusk asks if he ever thinks about getting out, Tendau tells her that she must follow her conscience. If she can't work for the Imperial Corps of Bioengineers anymore, he will fully support her if she wants to leave. Eventually, the two reach one of the Borgle bat caves, where they discover the large creatures hanging from the ceiling with the carcasses of their meals littering the cave floor. Once they collect their samples, the two head back to Rory's spaceport and catch a shuttle down to Naboo. Dusk and Tendau arrive on the planet, but become separated at the spaceport. As Dusk searches for her friend, she sees a squad of stormtroopers advancing through the crowd. She turns and watches in horror as the troops surround Tendau. Dusk tries to push through the people, screaming for her friend. Someone grabs her. It's Finn, stopping her from advancing on the Imperials. Dusk looks back at Tendal again. Their eyes meet, and Tendal shakes his massive head, silently telling Dusk to remain quiet. The crowd stares as an Imperial officer arrives. He accuses Tendal of being a rebel spy and sentences the Ithorian to be executed. Dusk screams again, but Finn pulls her away from the crowd and drags her through the spaceport. Dusk and Finn climb onto a transport as a stormtrooper raises his blaster rifle and shoots Tendal through the chest. Dusk and Finn travel to the planet Locke, where they meet with one of Finn's contacts, a pirate named Nim. Finn asks Nim for help to reach the Alliance. Nim agrees, but it'll cost them. The pirate wants a piece of a hyperspace map held by a small group of thieves up in the mountains. Dusk and Finn agree and travel to the camp. Along the way, Finn teaches Dusk some of the ins and outs of handling a blaster. When they arrive, the two storm the camp, kill the thieves, and take the map back to Nim. True to his word, the pirate offers to have one of his people fly Dusk and Finn to one of the Alliance hideouts on the planet Corellia. Once they arrive on Corellia, Dusk and Finn meet with Princess Leia Organa and Luke Skywalker, and the rebel leaders have a mission for them. Find a Jedi holocron in the ruins of an ancient Jedi temple on Dantooine. They use Dusk's position in the Imperial Corps of Bioengineers as cover to travel to Dantooine with Finn as her assistant. When they arrive, Dusk tells the Imperials that they are going out to gather samples from the native wildlife. Once the two leave the Imperial camp, they change course and head off to the temple ruins. There, they split up to search for the holocron, and Dusk finds it hidden beneath the ashes of an ancient fire pit. When the two return to their shuttle, Finn seems different. Dusk assumes it's the stress of the mission, but soon it becomes clear that something is wrong. When Dusk asks Finn, "What's the matter?" Finn takes her into an embrace and kisses her again. "I'm sorry," Finn says. Confused, Dusk looks over at the pilot's console and sees an outgoing transmission. "I'm sorry," Finn repeats, "but I'm not a rebel spy. I work for the Empire." Dusk is confused and refuses to believe him, but Finn lays out the entire plan. How he targeted Dusk as someone who could be used against the Alliance. How he orchestrated Tendal's arrest to convince Dusk to join him, and how he used her expertise to find the holocron. Dusk tries to stop the comm transmission, but Finn grabs her. Dusk turns and feels a sharp pain in her abdomen. Dusk looks down in disbelief as Finn removes a knife from her belly. "I'm so sorry," Finn whispers again as Dusk falls to the floor, unconscious. The story ends with Dusk waking up in an Alliance hospital bed, Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia standing over her. Dusk tells the rebel leaders about Finn and losing the holocron. She asks how they found her. "I had a feeling," Luke says. When they leave, Dusk returns to thinking about Finn. She makes a silent promise to find the spy and bring him to justice. Time to take a break. When we return, I'll talk more about Star Wars Galaxies, the Ruins of Dantooine. I'm Aaron Moats. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Star Wars Legends Lounge. Thank you for listening to the Star Wars Legends Lounge, where we celebrate the books from Star Wars Legends. But let me recommend a book from Star Wars canon. Jedi Battle Scars tells the story of Cal Kestis and the crew of the Stinger Mantis following the events of Jedi Fallen Order. The crew meets a former stormtrooper who has information that could prove crucial for the rebellion. But can the Imperial deserter be trusted? And can Cal evade pursuit from the evil fifth brother? Find out in Jedi Battle Scars by Sam Maggs. Welcome back to the Star Wars Legends Lounge, the show that celebrates the books from Star Wars Legends. I'm Aaron Moats, and today I'm talking about Star Wars Galaxies, The Ruins of Dantooine, by Veronica Whitney Robinson with Hayden Blackman, a book set during the events of the Star Wars Galaxies online video game. Being a video game tie-in, this book isn't really a necessary read for you to experience the Legends story. However, I forgot how fun this book is. It's not a great book, but it's a pretty fun little adventure. And much like the first Dark Forces book, which is also based on a video game, this book has portions of it that feel like a video game. When Dusk and Finn take the assignment from Nim the pirate, and they storm the camp where the thieves have the map. Excellent side quest right there. Finn teaching Dusk how to handle the blasters. It's almost like a video game tutorial showing you, the player, how to work the weapons in the game. Dusk is the avatar for the player. When she goes running into the camp and she gets attacked by some of the thieves, it feels like when your avatar in the game gets attacked. I could see Dusk's little health bar shrinking in my mind's eye as I was reading the book. Finn comes in at the most opportune times to help Dusk out. But still, you, the player, Dusk, are the one that has to ultimately succeed in order to accomplish the mission. And that's what she does. She's able to defeat the last of the thieves, and then they go over to a chest and open it up and find the map. Listener, you all know that I don't play video games, but I just imagine those big wooden chests in Mario 64 where you hit them and a star pops up. That was Dusk and Finn finding the map. That unlocks another part of the game. You travel to Corellia. You meet with Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker, who give you some exposition. And then it's off on another mission. This one to find the Jedi holocron. Again, it feels like a video game. Now, the twist at the end with Finn really being an Imperial spy, I don't know if that's something that would be in an online role-playing game. Maybe it is. I've never played those. That's one aspect that didn't feel like a video game to me, and I appreciate that because I do think a book should feel like a book. And this one did. I just like the fact that there are parts of it where I could imagine playing a video game and accomplishing the achievements that Dusk is accomplishing in the book. Finn's double cross at the end does not come out of left field. Once the two make it to Dantooine, you can tell something is different with Finn. He becomes distracted. he doesn't quite answer the questions that Dusk asks him as they're searching the Jedi Temple ruins. He makes odd statements. And throughout the book, it seems he's very attracted to Dusk. She's attracted to him. But once they get the holocron, he doesn't seem attracted to her anymore. Now, it turns out he still is, but I think more than anything, he's just conflicted over what he feels for her and his loyalty to the Empire. Of course, the twist happens. Dusk gets stabbed. And it feels like that's it for the character. However, much like a video game, that's not the end. Luke Skywalker gets a feeling through the Force that Dusk is in trouble. He shows up, rescues her, and in the end, she's all fixed up in an Alliance hospital. It's convenient, but again, it's a video game tie-in. It allows the story/game to continue. Star Wars Galaxies: The Ruins of Dantooine is an average book for Legends. It's not great, but it's a fun adventure. However, if you want to read the stories that are pertinent to the timeline of Legends, that contain all of the well-known characters of Legends, you can skip this one. Because, except for 2 small little cameos, these are new characters. And they're characters that just have a one-off. We don't see them again, except for in a comic, I believe. But if you just want to read a fun little story, give this book a try. Now, before I head to the last section of the show, I do have to say again, just because the book is a video game tie-in, the cover does not have to reflect the computer graphics from 2003. Star Wars Galaxies: The Ruins of Dantooine is the ugliest cover of any Star Wars book that I've ever seen. It's just a screen grab of the Star Wars Galaxies video game of a couple stormtroopers firing and an AT-ST walker in the background. It's just a screen grab with 2003 graphics. It has nothing to do with the story. It's hilarious, actually. It is so ugly that it is hilarious. Listener, if you don't want to read the book, that's fine. But I would encourage you at least to go online and look up the book so you can see the cover. Star Wars Galaxies: The Ruins of Dantooine. Well, it's almost time for me to go, but first, I have a new character grouping to read. It's a fighter squadron from Robin, who didn't name his squadron, but still, it's a pretty fun group. Up first is Luke Skywalker and R2-D2 in their X-Wing, followed by General Hera Syndulla and Admiral Akbar in the Ghost. Robin's squadron also includes General Garm Bel Iblis and Mon Mothma in the Peregrine. Next, it's the Lady Luck, with Lando Calrissian and Talon Karrde, followed by Mara Jade and Ghent in the Wild Card. That's very interesting, Robin. Talon Karrde is flying with Lando, while Mara Jade is piloting Talon's ship, the Wild Card. That's very interesting. Rounding out the squadron is a special X-Wing fighter containing C-3PO and Little Grogu. I think I would pay money just to see that. That would be hilarious. Great list, Robin. Thank you very much for sharing it with me. Now, listener, if you have a favorite Star Wars character grouping, an unpopular opinion, or if you disagree with something I've said on the show, email me at swlegendslounge@gmail.com or send me a message on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram, also at swlegendslounge. Of course, you can send in your Star Wars questions as well. I love hearing from all of you. Now, coming up on the next episode, I start the Jedi Academy trilogy. It's Jedi Search, written by Kevin J. Anderson. And I might just have a special guest coming on with me for that show. That's very exciting. Listener, you can look forward to that episode coming out on June 28th. Thank you so much for listening to the Star Wars Legends Lounge. I'm Aaron Motes. May the Force be with you. And remember, there's always a bit of truth in legends.